the podcast. Really excited. Evan and I are going to be chatting about the gut anxiety connection. A lot of people have mood issues, mental, emotional issues, and they're connected to the gut. And most people, unless you have bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, acid reflux, they're not really connecting any gut issues to their mood, especially anxiety. So we're going to try to connect the dots for everyone here today. Evan, how are we doing today, man?
I'm doing really well. I'll start out by saying that if you were to go to a conventional doctor and get the referral for anxiety or depression to a psychiatrist, they're never going to consider the gut. They're never going to run a stool
Right.
test or an organic acids test or a mold toxin test. There's a study done on mice and mice that were exposed to various mold toxins. They had lower levels of dopamine. And we know people with lower dopamine, they can be more apathetic, they could be more depressed, they could just be less excited for the world. And although the organic acids doesn't measure GABA, we can tell just based on symptoms like easily stressed, hard to relax, you need alcohol to calm yourself down, or maybe you need chocolate to self-medicate. We know these people probably have low GABA, and GABA is the brakes of the brain. At least that's how I refer to it. Think of the GABA as being able to inhibit or slow down the sympathetic overdrive, and GABA is going to calm that and increase that parasympathetic reaction. Now, the connection is to the gut. Well, we know there's a paper here we'll pull up just because we like to have a couple studies. There's one titled Gut Microbiota's Effect on Mental Health, the Gut Brain Axis. Long story short, the study backs up what we've already known and you and I have been doing clinically for a long time, which is that we're fixing dysbiosis because we're finding that when you increase levels of lactobacillus, this is key in producing GABA. And so that's pretty interesting. And this study goes on to talk about the different inflammatory pathways and how dysbiosis, creating inflammatory proteins in the gut, that's going to also affect anxiety. So dysbiosis alone, that sounds crazy to some, maybe to mental health physicians, but if you have gut overgrowth problems, that could be the biggest single smoking gun for your mood issues.
100%, because the gut microbiome, very important. It helps modulate the immune system. So good, healthy levels of beneficial bacteria, bifidobacter, lactobacillus, beneficial flora, they're going to actually help modulate the immune system. They're going to help with gut permeability, keeping gut permeability down. They're going to help with inflammation reduction. They're going to keep the inflammation down. They also help take mold toxins that you may get exposed to and make them less virulent, less strong, less inflammatory as well. And then also beneficial bacteria are going to synthesize nutrients based on the food coming in. So it's going to take your poop and it's going to take poop and convert it to nutrition, versus dysbiotic bacteria is going to take your poop and make things, take your nutrients and make you more toxic, right? So we want to really get high levels of nutrition, and you're going to get endogenous production through healthy gut bacteria, right? Vitamin K, different B vitamins. You're going to get some fermentation acids that actually make it harder for a lot of the bad stuff to grow. So this is kind of a very important starting place. And if you look at some of the medications that are coming out for more mood stuff, some of the mechanisms seem to be more of a anti-inflammatory on the brain. That's very interesting, because we know the mechanisms in the past have been kind of SSRI or tricyclics in the 80s and 90s, or SNRI, right? These different kinds of medications. Of course, you have like the benzodiazepines that work on GABA and the different GABA agonists, right? So now we're working on inflammation, and we got to be careful because we had some inflammatories, not natural, but anti-inflammatories in the early 2000s that was called Vioxx, that killed 60,000 people. So we got to be careful, because when you use a lot of pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories, there could be side effects. And I imagine if it's on the mood and the brain, you could see strokes and things like that. So we got to be careful. So we try to use as many natural components foundationally with diet and supplements first, because of the least likelihood to cause problems.
Wow, that's insane. Well, you and I have talked about the impact of exercise on anxiety before. We've covered that. We know that exercise is a super potent antidepressant. Here's something else cool about the gut. In this particular paper, I put it in the chat for you if you wanted it, but
Yeah,
it
I got
talks
it.
about how lactobacillus strains upregulated BDNF, which is the brain-derived neurotrophin factor, and that resulted in increased regulation of the HPA axis. Let me
Oh,
just read that
wow.
last part again, because that's pretty nuts. Supplementing lactobacillus increase the regulation of the HPA axis. So here we are working with people using adaptogenic herbs, but the cool thing is we're actually fixing the adrenals by fixing the gut too, which is just amazing. And then it goes on further to talk about supplementing with bifidobacteria and how the patients in the study rated an overall happier mood using 6 dimensions of mood, including energetic, composed versus anxious, elated versus depressed, clear-headed versus muddled, confident versus unsure, and agreeable versus angry. So long story short, this actually improved the HPA axis functionality as well as diazepam. Or there's another one here, citalopram. That's an antidepressant. That's an SSRI. So long story short, this is pretty nuts. Probiotic therapy reduce the depressive symptoms and improve the HPA axis as well as an SSRI. So there you freaking go. And here's one more thing. Bifido infantis increases tryptophan, a serotonin precursor. So we always talk about, okay, get tryptophan in the diet, but simply the good bacteria can actually make tryptophan, which then makes serotonin and GABA. This stuff is just amazing.
I put the study up on screen, so anyone watching this video here could take a look at it. Again, if you are listening to audio, we'll put the video link down below if you guys want to go look. This is in the Journal of Clinical Practice 2017, Gut Microbiota's Effect on Mental Health. And I'll just kind of read that conclusion again. Dysbiosis and inflammation of the gut have been linked to causing several mental illnesses, including anxiety and depression, which are prevalent in society today. Probiotics have the ability to restore normal microbial balance, therefore have a potential role in the treatment and prevention of anxiety and depression. I think that's really powerful there. And again, that's only one of many things. Now, just a comment, I see a lot of people that get their mood worse when they have some of these things too. So what's the deal? Well, probiotics can be high in histamine and they can be high in FODMAP. So if you have if your immune system is so wound up, the histamine from these probiotics may cause problems. Also, the fermentable nature of these probiotics may cause problem if you have SIBO. So if you have massive bacterial overgrowth or your immune system is so wound up where you can't process histamine or you're sensitive to histamine, then you have to be careful with these things. So even though we say this is good, it doesn't mean it's good for everyone. So we're just trying to lay out, hey, it may be good for you, but if it's not, here's maybe the reason why. And we just have to dig in deeper. And so there's really no just magic solution. There's a lot of tools that we kind of line out and we go in sequential order and work them through with our patients to get the best results possible.
I'm so glad you went that direction with the conversation, because me listening to myself as a third person, I'm thinking, oh my God, I need to go out and buy probiotics right now and I'm going to just feel happier and less anxious and all that. And that certainly was not the case for me when I had gut infections and I tried probiotics. It made me worse. It made my skin worse. It made my mood worse. I got more anxious. And what the hell was going on? Well, as you mentioned, there's a sequential order. So I love that. And this is why it's important for you to do what you do and for I to do what I do, because you and I seeing these things clinically in the trenches is totally different versus somebody else with a health podcast. They could look at this study and they could do a whole podcast about this, and then they could trick people, not on purpose, but just not having the clinical background. They could look at this and go, oh my God, probiotics are going to be the miracle cure. And then people are going to listen to the podcast. They're going to do it. And then they're not going to have a good reaction like me. And then they're not going to know what to do. So I'm so glad that you're integrating the clinical approach to this thing, which is, wait a second. Yes, this is all true, but there's an asterisk next to this study. And the asterisk, as you mentioned, is what if there's bacterial overgrowth and the histamine bucket's already so full? Or what if there's a mold or a mast cell problem and the histamine bucket's already so full, you can't tolerate these probiotics. So maybe walk us through, what are you doing? What do you suggest people do if they've had a reaction like that to probiotics? Maybe they didn't do it in the right order. How should they approach this?
Well, the first thing we have to really do is just calm down the immune system. And the biggest vectors that we have to do that is the food that's coming into our body. So really choosing good anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense whole foods. And if we know there's a lot of digestive issues, bloating, gas, we may have to restrict FODMAPs and fermentables out of the gate to kind of decrease the dysbiosis. Because when we address like gut microbiome issues, we hit it 3 ways, right? We starve it, we kill it, we crowd it out. So starve, kill, crowd, starve, kill, crowd. And so the first aspect of that is shifting the foods to starve some of these microbiomes that may be bad. And again, it's going to be short-lived. We don't want to go low FODMAP forever, right? Because there's a lot of good foods that have FODMAPs in it and even histamine in it. So there's no reason we'd want to do that. But in the beginning, if we can shift the immune system, calm it down, if we can shift some of the microbes down, and then as we start adding different things in, supporting our ability to break down food, start adding in adrenal support, because when our nervous system is just stuck and our vagus nerve and our parasympathetics are low and our fight or flight's high, our immune system is going to be, it's going to be overly sensitive. Okay. It's going to be overly sensitive. And we're also going to have poor digestion. And when we have more poor digestion, we're going to have a gut permeability issues. We're not going to break down our food, and we're going to have more of these foods in our gut get into the bloodstream and stimulate the immune system in a negative way. And so if we can calm down that immune response through decreasing our sympathetic nervous system, whether that's breathing techniques, just good diet and lifestyle, good food, managing blood sugar throughout the day, not over or under exercising, good hydration, all of those things are kind of, the foundational check marks that we put as we work up a patient. So we have that foundation there.
Here's a question that came in from Keith. He said, what are your thoughts on taking colostrum for gut health? We use colostrum, but as you mentioned, in that immune situation, we might not want to use colostrum. I've had some people where their immune system is just so haywire that colostrum does affect them. It's not super common, but there are some cases where we can't use it. And so in that case, we may be coming in with more herbal-based leaky gut supports, DGL, glutamine, zinc carnosine, more
amino acids, nutrients. Yeah, I mean, colostrum, because it does come from a cow, right? It's going to be more dairy based. Supposedly, colostrum is dairy free, meaning you're not going to get the casein and the lactose. So it just depends on how sensitive you are. Some people, they may be sensitive where it's still in a problem. Some it may be okay. I tend to just avoid colostrum just because my patients are very hypoallergenic, and so I tend to use more of the more hypoallergenic compounds like the zinc and the glutamine and the DGL and just things like that. Not saying it's not beneficial, and I've had many patients take it and do well with it. And so I'm on the fence with it for sure. I have a little bit of colostrum in my True Keto Collagen, and patients do really well with that. And so it's a tool that we put in our tool belt, but for our sensitive patients, I tend to not be the first thing that I jump on for sure. I think we're on the same page with that.
Yeah. Here's a person here. What about a probiotic that has both lactobacillus and bifido? Will they cancel each other out? No, we use those together all the time. And some of the most high quality professional formulas we make, we have combinations because you get different nutritional benefits in the gut from different species. There are some cases where I have done just straight lacto or I've done straight bifido just to see how people do, but those are like the 1% sensitive people. The average person we're working on, they can tolerate a combination. And then obviously if we're working on mold or candida or some other problem, we're often throwing in Saccharomyces boulardii in there too. So then now you're doing bifido, lacto, and you're doing Saccharomyces, that triple combo, which technically Saccharomyces boulardii, even though it's marketed and sold as a probiotic, technically a yeast will often work that into the protocol, and it does so much better.
Yeah, 100%. Evan, what's your experience using spore-based probiotics?
They give me just terrible gas. My God, it just hurts my tummy. I've tried them. I went on them. I went off of them. I went low dose. I went high dose. I mean, we even manufactured some too. And I'm like, God, I just don't feel that good with them. I've had some people that are like, hey, this thing is a miracle cure. This is the best I've ever felt. And good for them. But for me, it just did not go well. So I feel much, much better with just the low histamine, more, I guess you would just call it living probiotics as opposed to the spores. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. I think patients that don't do well with your Lactobacillus bifidobacter, I definitely have a good bunch that do better with the spore-based probiotic. So depending on the level of SIBO that's going on, some patients do really great with it. I have no problem myself with higher dose bifidobacter, Lactobacillus infantis species, so I don't have a problem with it. But some patients I know with significant SIBO history just do well on it. They just do much better. And supposedly that the spore-based probiotics really help potentiate the growth of these other beneficial flora. So it does help a lot of the other beneficial flora, and they do hang out a lot longer too.
Yeah, and I've tried a couple different professional brands. I mean, there's two big brands out there. I've tried both. One I did actually feel pretty good on. A couple others I didn't feel so good on. So I think it could be a brand difference too. There was another question here. When's the best time to take probiotics with fiber or empty GI? I don't know the whole with fiber deal. I've never heard that before. I personally take them on an empty stomach, and I'll do them first thing in the morning, like before breakfast. I'll just pop all my supplements, or I'll take them before bed. Unless I'm taking a binder, then I won't. My thought on it is try to get the bacteria in there, especially because some of the professional manufacturers you and I use, we're using an acid resistant capsule. So it's actually going to bypass the stomach acid and deliver the beneficial microbes to the gut. So in that case, that's why I like it to be there. Just because there's not as much competition with the food. Could just be theory. I don't have any proof that it works better, but that's how I approach it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you can definitely have some beneficial effects with some fiber, with some probiotics, because the fiber does act as prebiotics and it can help kind of provide the fertilizer for the seed being the probiotics to grow. I do like it. A lot of your conventional probiotics tend to do better on an empty stomach, but I mean, taking them with food has some beneficial effects as well with digestion and such. And so I say try to take most of those with food. I think that's good. I just wanted to pull one study up here. I think this is interesting. Let me pull this up here. So just to kind of support what we're talking about, right? This study is looking at neuroinflammation association alterations of the brain as a potential neuromarker in anxiety disorders. So we're just trying to build up the case that we're talking about here. Preliminary evidence suggests anxiety disorders are also associated with increased inflammation. Systemic inflammation can access the brain, enhance pro-inflammatory cytokine levels that have been shown to precipitate direct and indirect neurotoxic effects. Prefrontal and limbic structures, these are the parts of the brain that have to do with higher thinking, emotions, memory, are widely reported to be influenced by neuroinflammatory conditions. In concordance with these findings, various imaging studies on panic disorders, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety have been reported alterations in the structure and the function and the connectivity of our prefrontal and limbic structures. So what they're saying is inflammation is affecting the parts of your brain that are involved in higher thinking, higher function, memory, cognition, anticipating, cause and effect based on your actions, right? Prefrontal cortex it's the part of the brain that allows you to anticipate, to think, to plan. Most of people from from evolution, we've been more midbrain, kind of reptilian brain type of, kind of knee-jerk reaction kind of response. And the frontal cortex gives us the ability to think. And certain nutrients have allowed that part of the brain to grow. High quality cholesterol, omega-3 fatty acids, amino acids help that part of the brain grow. But if we drive inflammation in, that's going to have a negative impact. Now, what are the things that are going to be driving inflammation in our diet? Well, omega-6 refined processed vegetable oils, trans fats, refined sugar, too much carbohydrate, too much sugar. These are all going to drive brain inflammation. And of course, inflammation in the gut can cause inflammation in the brain. Inflammation in the gut's bidirectional. It's a two-way highway. Inflammation in the body, whether it's like getting exposed to Roundup or mold toxins, can cause gut inflammation. Inflammation in the gut through dysbiosis and food allergens can also cause leaky gut and cause inflammation from the gut to go outward up to the brain. And it can activate the microglial cells in our brain, which can create fogginess and more immune response that can make us feel worse and more anxious or depressed based on what's happening in the gut.
I just sent you one other paper too, which is kind of interesting, talking about antibiotics and how antibiotics are going to drive up depression and anxiety, and talked about treatment with just a single course of antibiotics was associated with a higher risk for depression and then also anxiety. So I'm not saying don't take them. I mean, if you need them to save your life, but I will just say that there's so many people that have been put on these different medications that affect the gut. And so when we're trying to paint the picture here of what went wrong, why did someone become anxious? It could have been that they went in for a routine dental procedure and they were taking antibiotics. They screwed up their gut. Now they have dysbiosis, as you mentioned, this big inflammatory link to the brain. Now they've got this bacterial overgrowth. They simply were using something as preventative medicine, these antibiotics, and then boom, now they've got this overgrowth. And then, as you mentioned, these bacteria are pooping poop. And then that's going to make you more anxious. So there was a question that came in about, well, how much time do probiotics take to work for anxiety? I mean, that's a really tough question to answer because what else is going on? Are there gut inflammation issues? Are there bacterial overgrowth issues? What about candida problems? I mean, there's other things we have to factor in. So I wish it were just so easy to say, hey, take this probiotic in 3 weeks, you're going to be less anxious. I wish that were the case, but I think the answer is it depends.
Totally. One study here, I'm just putting the study up on screen so you guys can see anxiety exposure and the risk for depression, anxiety, or psychosis. Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, 2015. So you guys can see the abstract and the conclusion down below. Take a look at this study. All right, where is it? Systemic administration of curcumin affects anxiety-related behavior in a rat model. So it's interesting. So what we're trying to look at here is results suggest that curcumin has an anxiolytic-like effect on biochemicals and behavior It may be a useful agent to alleviate or treat psychiatric disorders similar to those observed in patients with PTSD. So what are they saying here? They're saying in this rat study, giving curcumin actually resolved and significantly had a benefit on anxiety. Now, why is this? Well, it's because it has natural anti-inflammatory benefits. And the postulate is that by reducing inflammation in the brain and in the body, that also helps with mood and anxiety. Now, we don't want to just rely on a supplement. So people that are watching this right now, don't just say, hey, I'm saying to fix your anxiety, get curcumin. Fix all the foundational things that set the table, that drive inflammation. And then once you have the foundation, then you can go dig deeper in using specific supplements to reduce inflammation, like curcumin, like boswellia or frankincense. You can also, there's systemic enzymes that can be taken away from food. There's a lot of good higher dose fish oil, ginkgo. These are excellent nutrients that can help drive down inflammation. A lot of the bioflavonoids in some of our lower sugar fruit, like berries and quercetin, those kind of things. I know there's studies on a handful of blueberries a day can reduce inflammation in the brain too. I know we talked about that in the past. So inflammation plays a major role, and get the foundation right. Because if you have a lot of dysbiosis, but you're trying to take curcumin to cover up the inflammation, fix the gut stuff first, fix the adrenals and the sympathetic overload first, fix the food and the blood sugar, and then you can dive in deeper with extra functional medicine, nutritional tools.
Yeah, good point. And I'll just say it in another way, which is that you could take all the generic stuff, meaning generic natural stuff, as you mentioned, boswellia, curcumin, potentially high dose fish oil to reduce inflammation. Maybe you're going to lower the anxiety some, but you're still not getting to the big root of it, which for me was gut infections. I had parasites, I had H. pylori, I had major bacterial overgrowth, I had candida problems, I had mold problems. All those things were affecting my gut, which were affecting my brain. So I was having just out of the blue anxiety. I mean, some points I was panicking. I thought I was dying in some situations. My blood pressure was going crazy for a while. I mean, it was all related to these toxin issues. And so I encourage people, get some of the labs run so you can figure out what the heck's going on. The first place to start, obviously, is going to be a stool test. So we run a DNA stool test that you can do at home, and you get that back to the lab. And then you can get a really good workup on what type of infections do you have. Is it just bacteria? Or do you have parasites? What about your gut inflammation? Have you measured that? Because if you're anxious and we see high gut inflammation, we're going to go ding, ding, ding. Look at the connection there. And then we mentioned on the oat test, there's not GABA, but we can do trial runs. I manufacture a chewable version of GABA that we use. It's Pharma GABA, which is fermented and bioavailable. So we use that. And if people have a good response to that, then we assume that they had a low GABA situation. If they take one or two of those and then they feel better, then hey, we're pretty happy.
Also, let me just, that's very good. And so if you guys want to support the show, some of the supplements that we're going to recommend, we'll put it down below in the notes section, recommended supplements. So Evan has a chewable GABA. I also have a liposomal curcumin. When you're taking curcumin, you want to make sure it's liposomal so it has maximal absorption. Only about 15% get absorbed. It's also better absorbed with black pepper as well, but people that have nightshade sensitivity, that may be problematic. So if you want Curcumin Supreme as a liposomal version, we'll put down below. We'll put Evan's recommended products too. Now, interesting study here when they looked at inflammation in the same rat study, when they looked at the administration of curcumin, they actually saw a decrease in cortisol. So this is serum cortisol here. And as they increase the curcumin, you can see the drop in cortisol. And it makes sense because cortisol is an anti-inflammatory. So the more your inflammation your body has, the more you're going to surge cortisol to help reduce the inflammation. The problem is cortisol is catabolic. It'll break down tissue. And so in the long run, you don't want cortisol out of balance because it will start breaking up tissue. So interesting enough to see that the reduction in cortisol followed by the increase in the amount of curcumin given to the rats and the increase in improved mood, the decrease in anxiety. So that's powerful. So we want to look at everything from a root cause. We want to have all of our foundational tools and our palliative functional medicine, nutritional tools to plug in. And it's just good to have some data to kind of back it up so we can see, yeah, these things make sense. Because I always tell patients I'm talking to, what's the mechanism? What's the root cause? Are we getting to the root cause? And there anything else that we can do palliatively to support the healing of the root cause?
Yeah, meaning, okay, we could do some chewable GABA, we could do some curcumin or whatever else to try to calm things down, while behind the scenes, we're working on getting the mold out, fixing the bacterial balance, integrating in probiotics, restoring gut flora, bringing in Saccharomyces boulardii to address candida. All these things are I mean, that's the art of it, right? That's the fun and the beauty of what we do, and it's just a blast. Let's hit this question here from Sarah before we wrap it up. She said here, are there any thoughts on raw milk to help heal the gut if tolerated? Okay, there are mixed thoughts with this. I'll rant on it real quick. My thought is, because I had a lot of issues with dairy, I personally just do butter, and I feel best with that. And I would argue that to help heal the gut, we can use all these other clinically shown ingredients that don't use dairy proteins, like the zinc carnosine, the glutamine, the chamomile, the DGL. So my bias is to go for that. But what do you think?
I had the same as well. I don't do great with raw milk. I get massive diarrhea, massive bloating issues, even raw. Now, the benefit of raw milk is you have all of the cream, right? The homogenation tends to like kind of damage a lot of the globules. And then, of course, the pasteurization destroys all the enzymes that help you handle casein and lactose, which is the sugar in the milk better. The casein's the protein. And so there's that, right? And so you tend to if you have problems with dairy, you have a better chance of being able to tolerate it with raw milk. Now, even with raw milk, I don't do it as well, but I don't tolerate as well, but I do tolerate butter and ghee wonderfully because it's cut out the casein and it's cut out also the lactose as well. So in general, if you're more hypoallergenic, probably stay away from it. Wait till you're healthier, try it. If you're relatively healthy and you want to give it a try, sure. But in general, if you're having immune issues or chronic inflammation issues, probably stay away from it until you get things under the control. And then you have a better baseline. Then when you try to add it in, then you'll really be able to know if you can handle it or not, because you'll go from feeling good to not, and it'll be quite clear.
Yeah, question from Ty. What's the first diagnostic tool we can use to determine the state of your microbiome? Typically, two things. We're going to do the stool test, the DNA stool test we use at home, and that's something that Justin and I run clinically on pretty much everyone. And then the organic acids test is helpful too, because we'll see certain bacteria pop up that maybe the stool test missed or vice versa. So stool and urine at home, those are things that we can run, and they're incredibly valuable tools. So valuable that I almost don't even want to work with somebody without those data points, because at that point, you're just guessing. And we prefer to test, not guess.
Totally. Now, on those tests, we may look at commensal bacteria like Bacteroides and Firmicutes. Bacteroides and Firmicutes, you want essentially, good levels of Bacteroides to Firmicutes. If people have high levels of Firmicutes in relation to Bacteroides, that could be a problem, but that usually is never the problem in and of itself. Usually there's dysbiotic bacteria, Citrobacter, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas, Morganella, right? These are all dysbiotic type of flora that are overgrown. That can throw off a lot of the commensal stuff. So ideally, if we see commensal bacteria off, we want to address the dysbiosis first, and then we can use different fibers and prebiotics and probiotics down the road once we've kind of fixed a lot of the dysbiosis, and that can kind of help get it back into balance.
Man, I tell you, half an hour flies, but we got to run, and this is something we could do a part 2, part 3 on, but the big smoking gun for people with anxiety, in my opinion, based on suffering for years and years and years with different issues, it's the gut. The smoking gun for anxiety, mood issues, depression, fatigue. A lot of this is coming from the gut. You and I've hit upon how B vitamins are made in the gut too. You did a really eloquent explanation on previous podcast about how you're making the nutrients that fuel the mitochondria. We went pretty deep into that before. So that's an exciting mechanism that I think most people are not talking about. They're putting people on Adderall or other things to try to boost up their mental energy. You got to look at the gut. So I encourage people to get tested. And if you need help, you can reach out clinically. We had a question from, where'd it go? Polona. How can I contact you or have an appointment? So Dr. Justin, Dr. J, he's available worldwide. So am I. If you want to reach out to him, it's at justinhealth.com, justinhealth.com. You can reach out worldwide, phone, FaceTime, Skype, whatever. And then for me, Evan at evanbrand.com. We're available for consults, and we can send labs to your door. We run those. We get them back to the lab, jump on a follow-up call, review the results, and then make you a protocol, get you feeling better as quick as we can.
Excellent. We'll put a list of recommended products and recommended resources for today's podcast to kind of back up what we're saying. Also, you can watch the video on screen where we pull up some of the studies. And if you guys enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you like and what you want to see improvement on, and recommended topics coming up. All right. Evan, thanks for everything. evanbrand.com, justinhealth.com. We are here to help you guys. Have an awesome day.
Take care now.
Take care. Bye.